Looks like Maggie saves the day again.
Hello! Getting into the indie space is a tricky one to crack, especially when time between uploads can be long in the tooth. So what happens when a veteran GMOD channel gets into producing game? And so this is Glitch Productions, a channel that spawned from machinima shitposts and transformed to something greater. I interviewed co-founder and CEO Kevin Lorichigal to not only dive into him and his brother Luke's animations, but as well as what they're doing for indie animation. Hello, I'm Ryan. And we're going to be glitching up in this production. We're going to take the production and glitch it. Kevin and Luke are 29 and 24-year-old creators from Australia. They began their channel SMG4 all the way back in 2009, and it would revolve around their favorite Italian plumber, Mario. Their first console would be the N64, playing games like Ocarina of Time, Paper Mario, and especially Mario 64. They would mainly do this in the back of their parents' fruit and vegetable shop. Some of their earliest videos would be the two playing the latter game, you know, Mario 64. But as they grew older, they drifted apart career-wise. Well, at first. Kevin originally wanted to be a game designer and in high school would take up drawing. However, when pursuing college, he would switch up to software engineering, as he found problem solving more enticing. While Kevin was in college, his brother's channel would reach 1 million subscribers. While he originally made these videos by recording a screen, Luke would get into 3D programs like Gary's Mod to create his newer works, and he would use Sony Vegas to add additional layer of fluff to these old machinimas.
Machinima is a method of making animated films using software similar to that designed for making video and computer games.
Kevin saw this future potential of his brother Luke and wanted to join him on the indie crusade.
So the best way to describe it is really wacky, shitposty internet humor combined with some really wacky, crazy characters going on stupid adventures, and then Mario's also there.
Guys, we gotta hurry, or my channel will die!
Dude, you're overreacting.
I'm not overreacting!
And so SMG4 continued its mainline series, with Kevin stepping in as a writer, though their writing styles would differ, with Kevin more so being on the storytelling side and Luke on comedy. Over the years, the productions get larger and more complicated, especially for the fact they've been releasing new episodes weekly for quite some time. They keep up with consistent quality of content, then hire around 10 people to help with editing. And you may have noticed by now that the main character SMG4 is a recolored OC of Mario. I mean, I hope you noticed, because like, the original Mario also shows up in the videos. Over time, the character get redesigned to be less Mario-like, and more so like the IRL Luke as a Mario character. Though, as I found out while researching the video, people care a lot about minuscule details and character designs. Some people even making videos detailing such things.
So last year we did a redesign, and we noticed like a larger portion of the fans were talking about his proportions or his face art style. We took that in, we sort of redesigned it again just to push it more in a direction that everyone was happy with. And we're so really happy with the result now, and like we think a lot of the community felt heard after that, which is always great, which is what I always try to do. With that said, you can't make everyone happy. That's just the nature of the business, you know. That's the nature of any business.
And don't worry, SMG4's gotten the same treatment. Definitely not as handsome as me though.
So back to SMG4, they'd use a mix of their actual speaking voice, meme audio clips, as well as recuts of Mario characters talking, creating an admittedly funny audio-visual mess. I even asked my audience about SMG4. ScooterGirl22 said, he has improved over time. Although he now has a team that animates for him, I watch his content for years. My friends talk about his OCs. However, one channel would not satisfy their creative needs, so they make 2 new ones. One called The Awesome Mario and the second Hobo Bros. The former being created in 2013 and would serve as a second channel for the brothers. It had less of a focus on quality and more so just shitposty content. Well, more shitposting in general. They would retire this channel in 2017 and pour more of a focus onto Hobo Bros. This would be a change of pace for their content, as they would have themselves as the main focus on live action, reacting to things both gamer and non-gamer alike. They would also use this channel as a way to talk about their main channel videos and offer answers to audience questions. Created in 2016, they would retire this channel 4 years later in 2020. It's always good to diversify and have more channels, like how I have an animated podcast I produce every week. Due to the success, they're even reached out by Ubisoft.
But if I remember correctly, they just reached out to us. They sent us an email and be like, hey, we're working on this top secret. At the time, Mario Rabbids wasn't announced, but yeah, they said, we'll fly to E3 if you play some video games for us and put it on your channel. And we were like, at the time, we were like, oh yeah, great. Yeah, we'll do it. They flew us to LA, where came to play what is now known as Mario Rabbids.
Though they've experimented with other channels before, this one would turn the indie community upside down with its productions. This is Glitch Productions. Also, if you're liking the video so far, be sure to like and subscribe, as well as comment your thoughts on SMG4. Thanks. Originally called Glitchy Boy, pun on the Game Boy moniker, the studio would be born May 27, 2017. Not only did they want to house a lot of their operations under this label, they also want to have a business setup for organizational and tax purposes. The first new production under this name would be Hitbox, posted on the SMG4 channel in 2018. This would feature live action skits of the duo and friends in a similar manner to their animations. Though, this wouldn't be the first time they've done live action skits. For their 100k special of Hobo Bros, they would do Super Mario in real life. As they produce a series, more characters would be introduced into the SMG4 animations. The first notable one would be that Atari. She would appear during the Waluigi arc in 2018. I could get into the SMG lore, but I'm just gonna save that for another channel. Go watch any of these videos instead. Her appearance is notable as when creating their production company, they want to create their own original scripted series. So no Mario characters. And on that note, Nintendo's yet to email them, so maybe Miyamoto's a fan?
We were at E3 one time and we were like there recording like some Nintendo game footage. I think it was Mario Rabbids. We're sitting in the lobby and like we literally just look up and we see Miyamoto just walk past us. And he looks us in the eyes and he nods at us and we nod back. And we're like, oh my god. That was just Miyamoto, and he just continued walking. So I'd like to think of that as a implicit acknowledgement of what we're doing. I have no idea if he knows of videos. He probably doesn't, but I like to think that he does.
He bundles up each night and watches a new SMG video.
That's right.
It's like, oh yes, after a long day of work, funny Mario guy.
Exactly.
Okay, sure, the SMG4 animations are fun, but they want to truly flex their animation talents. So in retiring their live-action series Hitbox, they pursued their first animated series, Meta Runner, in 2019.
In a future where video games are everything, young Meta Runner Tari must do whatever she can to uncover her past. Esports, sci-fi, and video games collide in Glitch Productions' first fully animated series.
It features a retool designed Atari from SMG4. Kevin noting she's essentially the same character, but in a different universe. And so for the first animated show, they hired 4 artists. For this animation, they need some extra funding, so to pay their team, they sought out sponsorships. Being from the country of Australia, they had the option to screen Australia. It's essentially an art-grant fund that gets Aussie creators the funds they need to make their nation proud. While they originally were turned down after seeing SMG4, the country changed their mind. Just said, oh, the views. Can you imagine that? The country you live in going,
You make the nation proud. Have some money to draw funny Marios.
They also partner with the chip maker AMD, which would be an app sponsor. Considering the show takes place in a world about video games, having a CPU company fund them is pretty cool. Though they would be sponsored by other video game related companies such as HyperX as well as ViewSonic in prior videos. The first season of Meta Runner will air on SMG4 with trailers and full episodes. But promotion wouldn't stop there. You see, not only would they air the show, but the duo would have their own OCs from SMG4 react to the content they just made. This is a good way to recycle content to get more eyes on your cartoon. They would eventually create a new channel just for Glitch in 2018, but had their first post in 2020. First post, I mean first video. You see. They begin posting on the channel with an introduction to who they are, as well as a trailer for the movie. Okay, it's not really a movie, but rather all of season 1 wrapped up into one 2-hour film. In recent contents, they're able to gain subscribers, build hype, and better separate their channel from previous outings. And throughout the years, they'll continue to promote Glitch on SMG4, even utilizing the description to push into the metadata of YouTube. The first new animation for the channel will be released in 2020, starring the 3D platformer character from Meta Runner, Theo. They want to experiment to see if people would like this spin-off. Though while it did get views, they sought to focus on the main series. The show would have 3 seasons, and along the way, they would have one-offs and even music videos that tied people over. But I'm not going to go too in-depth about these shows, as I'd rather save them for different videos. So comment below if you want to see me talk about these animations. As of their team, 2/3 of the artists are in-house in Australia, and the rest overseas. Like a physical office to walk into. Though such a big team, they can only be stretched so thin with a production, meaning they can only work on one show at a time, which we'll get into soon. The story of Meta Runners will finish in 2022. They will get a proper send-off, virtual concerts, playing music from the show. Now, how does one decide to finish a series or end a series that you have 3 seasons in mind?
There's many factors. First factor is like what tells the best story. That's always the first thing. Like what would tell the best story. The second factor is how well the show is doing as well. How well it's doing in terms of views, merchandise sales, interaction, engagement, popularity online. And then the third factor would be just interest, capacity of the team. Artistically, is there more we can show, we can prove to ourselves through a season? So there's not one defining factor, but it's a combination of all of these things that we sort of use to gauge, oh yeah, this feels right. Like finishing it here feels good. The thing we don't want to do is just like continue a show just because we have to, you know what I mean? That's when we sort of like run the creative batteries really low. And for Metarun, it felt like 3 seasons was a really good spot to finish it on.
Within this time, 2 new series would find their footing with Glitch. The first would be Sunset Paradise, another show created by Kevin and Luke. The main character Meggy would start her life in SMG4 as a Splatoon OC, suddenly forming herself into a copyright-free and lawyer-worry-free original character. Phew. SMG4 would give her a send-off video saying goodbye to her friends as she vacations on New Island. Even Proto-Tari make an appearance once again. Again, very nice cross-promotion.
Meggy Spletzer found an island filled with potato bandits, cat burglars, dancing supervillains, and one very angry ice cream man, who all want to turn her peaceful vacation into a crime-fighting adventure.
For this series, they would experiment with VTubing avatar for Meggy in order to promote the show, though the live streams have since been unlisted on the channel. The series would conclude with only 1 season, with Meggy and Tari still making appearances in SMG4 to this day.
Need some saving once again, Mario? Oh yeah!
However, the most acclaimed series would come just after their virtual concert, that being Murder Drones.
On a post-apocalyptic exoplanet, worker drones struggle to survive by hiding from rogue robots called murder drones.
This show is actually quite unique as it's not created by Kevin or Luke. Back in 2018, Liam Vickers would create an animated pilot called Cliffside. It would be a western comedy in a world filled with monsters and shootouts. While browsing the internet, as they often do, Kevin and Luke found this creator. Amazed at his skill in direction and storytelling, they offered him a show on Glitch. And so in October 2021, the pilot was released, much to fan acclaim. In February 2022, they announced the season 1 teaser and answered some questions about the upcoming show.
You guys, had done video gamey kind of stuff, so it's like, well, robots, are video gamey, and like, it all kind of ties into that sci-fi thing, so yeah, I think it was less of a thing of like, oh, who can make this project, and more like, let's make a perfect project for these lovely fellas.
Though episode 2 will not air until November of that year. This was due to Glitch Productions finishing up the final season of Meta Runner at the time. Noting back to when I said they can only work on 1 show at a time, it's an intensive process, very, very hard work. While they would have an in-house team as well as oversee animators, they sought to bring all their attention to each production individually as to assure the highest quality content. At this stage, to split up the team would be akin to what happened to Sonic in 2006. The Sonic team splitting up to make Sonic 06 and Sonic and Secret Rings in order to have a game out on each console back then.
So after Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise, we were looking around because we wanted to see what other stories. So we started developing the philosophy of, we made our own show. We told the story we want to tell. How can we find more stories out there to tell and bring to life? We met Liam Vickers and we saw his animation Cliffside on YouTube, and we just saw such incredible talent from one person, and we saw just his storytelling ability, his character designs, his world building. We were like, wow, I wonder if this has any other stories he wants to tell. And then so we contacted him, and yes, indeed, he did have plenty of stories he wanted to tell, and the rest is history.
Murder Drones would actually be a technological advancement for the team. This would be due to the addition of Unreal Engine 5 into their pipeline. You probably heard the name before with Matrix Awakens and Unrecord achieving very lifelike animations, though the team would take it in a different direction. Alright, they would use Unreal Engine 4 for meta runners, even getting an art grant from the company, though 5 was cooler to mention considering how many polygons it could handle without crashing. I'll let Kevin break down a standard episode production.
So the beginning's pretty straightforward. Like, you write your script. After the script's approved, it goes through a bunch of iterations. That turns into voice acted. So we do our casting for voice acting talent. We get the takes from the voice acting and turn that into a radio play. After that, we start doing storyboards, and through that, we end up making an animatic. While this is happening, we also have like 3D assets being made. So our production manager goes through the entire script and breaks down the script into environments, into assets, into characters, into logos, into all that sort of stuff. And we give that to our 3D modeling team. And that then goes over to rigging, where rigging, the storyboards get turned into layout, which is basically setting up your characters and camera in Engine. We use Maya for that. The models, characters, rigs, all put together and animated in Maya. That's definitely the biggest, most time-consuming, laborious part, is just animating. And then from there, this is where things get a little more interesting than your regular pipeline. We export from Maya and import it into Unreal Engine. And then inside Unreal Engine is when our set dressing, our crowd, our VFX. From there, we render from Unreal Engine out into After Effects. And After Effects is when we composite everything together to get our final image. We add in, camera shakes, a bit more VFX, a bit more spice on top, a little bit of flavor, a bit of pizzazz. And then we render from there and we get our final episode.
In optimizing workflows, Glitch is able to have shows coming out at a more speedier pace compared to other contemporary productions. Though in saying that, until Murder Drones came out, the company was essentially operating at a loss. You see, animation's expensive, and YouTube doesn't really like artists, at all. This is because channels like Glitch upload once every 2 or so months, while gaming channels can upload every day. More ads means more money for Google. In producing SMG4 each week, as well as cross-promoting, they're able to fund this creative endeavor. It is noting that for Murder Drones, each episode costs about $200k to $300k per story. Damn. But Murder Drones blew away their expectations, both in views as well as fan response, it being on average the most viewed series per season. They would produce merchandise of the characters in both plush and figure form, though a dream of Kevin's would be to have a 1-foot-size detailed figure of the characters. And even the SMG4 hat became real thanks to their dedicated fan base.
It was very surreal when we held it and we put it on. It was like, wow, we're here sort of moment. It was like, wow, this is a thing. This is a thing I'm holding, and it's the hat. It's the hat from the show. It's in my hands, and anyone can grab one. It was very, very rewarding.
I also asked my audience what they think about Murder Drones. Sorry Gurua's fan said, honestly, Murder Drones is very unique, and I could see it bringing indie animated movies and shows. I can see it having a bright future, and it's one of my favorite indie shows. However, Murder Drones isn't the only production in the pipeline. In funding creative indie talents, the duo sought to bring another creator onto the team. One day, Kevin and Luke watched a little short called Little Runmo from 2019, so they hit up Gooseworks to see if she had a show to pitch. She did.
Very similar story. Reached out to Goose and was like, hey, do you want to make something cool? And Goose was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And the rest is history.
Well, I think we both had something to learn from that experience.
They also brought the likes of Kevin Temmer as an animation lead to help further shape the shows and characters. If you want to learn more about them, I actually interviewed them previously, so go watch those videos after this one. January 27, 2023, they would announce a new show called The Amazing Digital Circus.
A woman gets trapped in a crazy virtual world along with 5 other humans and are now subject to the whims of wacky AI and their own personal trauma.
Which, like before in creating Hobo Bros and the Awesome Mario, they wanted to expand their business even further. So with 4 shows on the roster, where can one go from here? Make more shows, or make another new channel, I guess? How about putting a spotlight back onto the indie animators you've seen before? GlitchX is a live streaming event that will air November 2023. It's all about indie animation and presented as a way to bring creators together. They have artists like Liam Vickers, Gooseworks, and Tracy J. Butler talking about their works and what it means to be an indie creator. Throughout this live stream, they'll also be showcasing other online artists' work from around the world, even showing some prior animations from other animators at the beginning of their announcement video. Talking with Kevin, he wants this to be a unification of artists.
Unification of the indie animation industry, just to talk about what it takes to make a animated show, and to discuss the difficulties of making an animated show, and ultimately like spread the word in the entire globe of there's some really cool stories and really high quality shows coming up. And the intention is to get all these different fan bases to come together, see these creators, see what they're making, hear their stories, and then watch each other's shows and basically like lift and elevate the entire industry as much as we can.
In my years of talking with and helping creators, this is something I haven't seen before. Putting a spotlight into indie creators gives young artists insights into the creative world. This is why I like making these mini documentaries about indie artists. It gives people a deeper dive in creators' works. I look towards creators like SMG4 and marvel about the success as well as what they do for the community. To break it down, they have a main channel with an active fan base, with which they're able to fund creative endeavors like Glitch. In turn, they use the main channel to further promote, which causes the audiences to mingle and spread further than ever before. And having consistent income and animations in the pipeline, they forgo a lot of the worries that older animators on the platform had for their productions. And in doing so, they're able to stretch their legs by letting indie animators pitch to them, such as Murder Drones and The Amazing Digital Circus. With this live stream that talks about the process and what it means to create, it gives young animators the thought that perhaps they too can make something great, and you can have fun and make a career of what you do online. And to see them helping out those around them rather than pulling up the ladder, it lets more people have their voices heard. And to have more shows online is always good to see.
So, the ultimate goal is to create a world where creators can get their shows made. And we want to basically help elevate the entire indie animation industry in a way to show that like, wow, you can have a cool story to tell in the animation medium and have a place for it on the internet and have it actually made. We want Glitch to be that place. The road to that is just continuing making really good shows that people enjoy, making shows that we're happy with, finding creators that we can make really cool shows with, just continuing that. I think just focusing on the content in that regard, a lot of success will naturally come with that. With the merchandise, we treat the merchandise as important as the show itself. For us, we don't want to just like, slap a logo logo on a shirt or anything like that. We want to make products that resonate with people and that resonate with the brand and the creators and artists of the show. And so we put a lot of effort into that, and I want to continue doing that. We want to do more merchandise that you know, people can really enjoy, and just spread that across our multiple different shows. I would love to get to the place where we could have multiple shows being worked on at the same time or being released at the same time, but it's always like quality control. We don't want to grow too fast too quickly, where like quality sort of escapes us. So that's always been the determining factor with how we go about our business.
To this day, Glitch continues to make animations with the dream of producing more, and starting many years ago in their parents' house to now having an in-house studio for animations, this is yet another success story in the online indie space.
The biggest thing for me is persistence in your craft, whether it be animation, 2D drawing, modeling, rigging, texturing, anything. Persistence is key. Every drawing or every art piece you work on, just try to improve one thing. It can be anything, just improve one thing. Maybe if you're a 2D artist, like, oh, in this one I'm gonna try to get better at hands, or in this one I'm gonna get better at drawing eyes. Just focus on one thing and continue just really trying to hone your craft. Take a chance to look back at your old artworks from month on month and see your progression, because I think that jump, that improvement is really, it can feel really, really rewarding. A lot of people often try to think of the goal, like, oh, I want to get here, I want to make a show, but people tend to forget about like the journey that it takes to get there. And since this is, if you're getting serious about it, it is something that you work on like every single day. Really focusing on that journey and like working on the small improvements, that in itself can be really rewarding.
Hey, and thanks for watching, and be sure to support me on everything. Literally, everything. My social medias, YouTube channels, and even Patreon. Also shout out for Kevin for letting me interview him. Great fellow. And shout out to Valentine Bay VA, who did voice lines for this video. Thanks. And don't forget to check out my animated podcast, Assault is JJ. Ooh, we're moving.
Guys, welcome back to the Bad Take Delete podcast. It's
hello.
the podcast with bad takes delete.
Until next time, keep on drawing, and don't forget to have fantastic.